Hey, comic book fans, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. And fans, you're back with me, Mike Spider Slayer, getting ready to do the countdown, episode number 115. That's right, guys. This is a show where I talk about my favorite comics from least favorite all the way down to that top spot, actually. And today, fans, we got 13 comics to talk about all together. And you might be surprised this week at what the top five comics are of this week. So with that being said, let's get started, and we're going to start off with number 13. And number 13 this week, guys, was Green Lantern and the Lost Army, issue number 4. You know what? I thought this series was actually halfway decent, and then you get to the end of, you read this actual issue, and you almost kind of wonder, like, okay, now I know why it's getting canceled or why it's ending. And in this particular issue, I thought that the artwork in this series was okay in the beginning, and now it just feels like it's getting a little bit less detailed, more like even more cartoony, where you can't even make out the characters' faces in this particular issue. And a lot of it is just them flying around in this issue, battling these space pirates. And then they wind up getting captured, and they have no charge in their rings. And you spend a good portion of the actual book with a pretty much pointless flashback with Jon Stewart. And then by the time you wind up getting to towards the middle and the end of this book, you wind up again that they're captured with these space pirates, and they're in these jail cells. And since they don't have their rings to translate the language, you find out that everyone is communicating and is communicating in their natural tongue, and no one can understand what's going on except Salak. And you see Badidge, the squirrel lantern, trying to break through the ventilation shaft, and he tries to come up with this escape plan to break free of all the lanterns. And I was just like, wow, this comic is kind of pointless. There was nothing here. They were just trapped inside this cell the entire time. And then finally, when Badidge breaks them out, they're out of their cell, and they're like, come on, it's time to teach these pirates a lesson. And that was really the end of the issue. And I was like, I didn't get anything out of it. It was so rough, you know? Yeah, not for me, this particular one. It was just nothing here. Nothing drove the plot forward. And like most of the series, they've been just stuck in one place. We're either stuck in space floating around, doing battle against spice pirates, or now we're just in the jail cell bullshitting the whole time. So nothing here that really interests me. And you know what? I said I was going to see this series forward because it kind of interests me, but now it's just gotten worse. And I don't know. So I gave this one a 2 out of 5 stars. Just wasn't for me this time around. All right. Next, we go on to number 12. And you guys just know this has not been my favorite series when it comes from Secret Wars. And to tell you the truth now, Secret Wars has worn out its welcome for me. I was all about it in the beginning. I really enjoyed the introductory issues to the stories. The first couple issues are really good. I've read 90 probably percent of the stories up until issue 3, and then I felt like issue 4 it should have been done, but then now we got some books are going on to issue 5s, and this one is continuing as well, and it got number 12 on the list this week. And it's one of those books that it's almost like, okay, how long can we just fight spider creatures? And how many times can we prove that Flash is the leader and he can make a responsible leader? This book is written by Christos Gage, who I think is a great writer, but I just felt like this is true dragged on. This could have been done in 3 issues and finished. The artwork is gorgeous. This is the one thing that this book has got going for it. I really love the artwork. When it comes to the heroes, Peter Parker himself, like, may not be drawn that great. I don't like the 5 o'clock shadow on him. I don't like the facial expressions he has. Like, look at this. This looks a little weird for me. But when it comes to just, like, non-human characters, it looks great. But in this issue, we wind up finding out that they rescued the females, like Carly Cooper and MJ. They wind up giving them the lizard formula, and they wind up giving him the cure to help Spidey and Flash and everybody else. And they came across this plan to create this huge distraction for the Spider Minions, and the Spider Queen is going to attack. And what happens is Stegron winds up bringing the dinosaurs back to life. And then you get to see this big distraction of all the dinosaurs trying to go against the Spider Minions. And that was a pretty cool page in here. And then what happens, this big distraction happens. They capture some of the minions. The Spider Queen is at the hero's mercy. We wind up seeing Flash Thompson wearing this stealth spider suit in the issue, which I thought was kind of cool, because so it brings back that Spider Island story a little bit. And we wind up seeing that instead of killing the Spider Queen, Peter has this debate with himself. He's like, that's not what I do. I don't kill people. He's like, there's another way. And they're like stalling. And even though Spidey put Flash Thompson in charge, Spidey insisted on the Spider Queen not being killed. And then she winds up evolving into this monstrosity. And you're just like, great job, Peter. You screwed things up again. And it was just uncalled for. They just wasted too much time. And I was just like, okay. But same thing. There was nothing here that just... This series is a constant battle between these spider creatures. There's been nothing here that makes just a great story. It's like, okay, let's go on. That's why I want all new, all Marvel here. I want stories to develop. I want our new characters to develop. There's no character development in these stories. They're just throwaway stories. And they're okay if they're good, but they're just not that great, you know? And it's been going on now for months. Like, we're going on 5, 6 months, half a year. I'm ready for things to come, you know? And then you get the backup story when it comes to Mayday Parker. And I'm not invested into the character that much, so I don't really have much to say, as I don't know much about these characters. So after reading this book, I gave Spider Island a 2 3/4 out of 5 stars. It's just wearing me down, this series. So, but I'm going to finish it. Alright, next is number 11, and that is Guardians of the Galaxy, or Guardians of Nowhere, issue number 4. Now, I really loved the first issue of this, and then the second issue had to do with more battle against this Yotat character, and then we got to see Angela and Gamora fighting against each other, and this whole thing that really made me love this issue, or this series to begin with, was because of the artwork and because of the story of how Gamora knows that there's something else out there, but she can't quite pinpoint that, okay? And in this issue, we hit on that a little bit more, but that's all there is. It's just, that's the only meaningful thing to the story. It's like, are they going to act on it? Like, what's going to happen? In the meantime, though, you get to see a lot of battle and a lot of action against this Kree warrior, who is kind of in the same sense, has no idea where they came from, but she knows she's going to just take down anybody in her place. And that was pretty much the issue. You get to see the Nova Corps of this, you know, battle world come and try to help Gamora and Angela and everybody else, and you wind up seeing this big battle. It's just, the artwork is gorgeous. It's a great book to look at, but the story was just all bing, bam, boom, pow, smash, destroy, splash, slice people in half, and you're just like, wow, this is a great book, look visually. And when you think the Kree warrior is down, nope, she comes back again, and she winds up freaking destroying Angela in the issue. And then we wind up seeing Gamora showing her emotion in the book once again, saying she knows there's a Groot. There's, who else was there? I'm trying to remember who she said it was. That there was Groot, that there was Thanos, and that there was Peter. And she just can't remember quite who they are. And it's driving her crazy. And then out of nowhere, Peter Quill shows up. It's like, dude, hey, I'm Peter Quill. Here I am. And it's like, where did he come from? It's just, he's out of the blue. He just shows up and he's like, oh boy, he's like, and he's just like, okay, listen, not to discount this brutal thing that you clearly just went through, but I need you guys to come with us. And it's just like, okay. and he knows that there's something not right either, but he knows that these are the people with. And the whole thing that makes this book crazy is that it's to be concluded in Secret Wars Guardians of the Galaxy issue #1. So it doesn't even conclude in this series of Guardians of the Nowhere. You got to get to Guardians of the Galaxy #1 to finish the conclusion. What? What the hell is that? So I was like, why do I got to buy another #1 book to find out the conclusion of this? That makes no sense. But it's an okay story, but it's just like these stories they started off really good and there's really good plot lines, but then they just don't go nowhere. There's nothing, just kind of ends, and that's how they are. So I don't know. After reading that one, I gave that one 3 stars. It's got good artwork, good action, but the plot line there is just, hey, I'm Peter Quill. I showed up out of nowhere. It's like, okay, all right. All right, next we go on to our top 10, and number 10 is Lando, issue #4. I gave this one 3¼ out of 5 stars. This has been my least favorite Star Wars series. The first issue was really great. I love the narration of Lando Calrissian in that first issue, how he describes the MO, and you see his people going through the mission at the same time. But ever since then, it's been kind of a little bit of a lackluster for me. The story's not really in depth all that much. You wind up seeing that Lando comes into the room with this Jedi relic or whatnot, and it winds up turning the people that he was working with winds up turning on each other, and they wind up doing this lightsaber duel against each other. These are the same people that helped them. So you wind up seeing Lando and his buddy wind up trying to escape. And then you wind up finding out who the actual bounty hunter that's been searching for Lando is. And again, Palpatine didn't know who stole his yacht. And you didn't know who this bounty hunter was the whole time. And you wind up finding out what made the issue for me was when the bounty hunter finally comes face to face with them. The bounty hunter reveals herself to Lando, and it's the girl that he was with in the very first issue before the series really started. That he took the artifact from the first page or whatnot to get this whole mission started. So I thought that was pretty cool. But then in the end, you wind up seeing these two people that they were working with escape out of the room, and then it looks like they're going to chase Lando. So I'm not really sure where it's going, but it was pretty cool to see the revelation of this bounty hunter, and you wind up finding out it's one of his ex-girlfriends. I thought that was like fucking bad luck, for him. But again, it didn't blow me out of the water. It's an average read here. I gave this one a 3¼ out of 5 stars. All right, next we go on to number 9, and number 9 this week was House of M, issue #3. This series has been okay. I like this book. I love the artwork. I like Dennis Hopeless's writing, and I love how Deathlock gets in the series because I've told you guys before that I'm an Avengers Arena fan, Avengers Academy fan, and I like this ragtag of characters with Felicia and Clint and Misty Knight trying to dethrone the House of M. And then you wind up seeing Pietro, or I don't know exactly how to say his name, Quicksilver, team up with Namor to try to take over the kingdom as well. And he's very successful at doing that in the issue. And he's more of a hard ass than his father ever was. So if you're a human or even have a threat of being a rebel against him, you're going to be taken in for questioning in the particular issue in the process. And then you wind up seeing that he's trying to recruit his sister, Scarlet Witch, which is to be by his side as well in the book too. It's pretty cool. The artwork's not bad. When Scarlet Witch gets pissed, I mean, she gets pissed. She defragments everybody. And when she doesn't want to listen to, when she doesn't want to listen to reason. And we wind up seeing by the time you get to the end of this issue that they're going to try to evacuate or try to get the human race escape and try to help take over this kingdom so Quicksilver doesn't rule it anymore. It's not a bad series. It's pretty good. I'm interested to see where this one goes. I think this has a nice progression. There's an actual story here. There's a good plot line. in this issue, and I'm curious to see how it's going to end. So after reading this one, I give this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. May not be the best story, but at least it's got like a beginning, and right now we're in the middle, and then you're gonna come to an end, and it's just a decent read for me. All right. Next, we're going to go on to number 8. And this can't get really any higher because I haven't read too much of this series. And that's Lady Mechanica, The Tablet of Destinies, issue number 5. Really nice book. I mean, visually, it's one of the best books of the week to look at. It is absolutely gorgeous. The amount of detail that goes into this artwork is just astronomical. I mean, look at the facial expressions in there, the eyelashes, just everything about the book is absolutely beautiful. Takes place in the turn of the century, steampunk time. Really nice detail when it comes to the characters, the jungle in here, as Lady Mechanica and this warrior are working together to try to find this kid. Here's a cool pinup page, as you can see in this book. So, I mean, visually, like I've said, this, the issue before that too. The book is absolutely outstanding, and we get to see Lady Mechanica again teaming up with this warrior right here as they're looking for their lost comrade, and the comrade went missing. The queen of this tribe actually doesn't want her working with her because she feels like Lady Mechanica is a demon because of her bionicle parts. And here's another great page. The artwork is just absolutely wonderful. And then you wind up seeing that the professor and these other people that are in this cavern uncovered what this tablet was, and it was like this some kind of weapon, and we're not sure really what it was. And then you're left with the person that is found here, which is the kid or whatnot, and she has abilities as well, where she's like a Lady Deathstrike, and she has like these fingernails. Again, I don't know all the characters' names. I just know I like the book, and it's interesting to read. They're going on this cool journey. It kind of reminds me of, like, in a way, of Indiana Jones and a Temple of Doom, but in steampunk version. And I would really love to read the whole first series and get the first 2 issues of this one so I understand really what's going on. I kind of caught it in the middle of the adventure, but it's a good read. I find myself just totally intrigued when I'm reading it. So I give this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. All right, next is number 7 this week, and number 7 is Wonder Woman, issue number 44. In the shadow of evil, as you can see, Strife is looking over Wonder Woman here as she's looking over the edge. Kind of looks like a Batman. You would think it's a Batman cover. Cool thing is that David Finch is back on the artwork in this book, and once again, his art has evolved since he started this series. It's much better artwork in here. We get to see Donna Troy in this issue as well, which is really nice too, as she's in London and she's out of place, and you wind up seeing people looking at her all strange and like, what are you, a freak? Is there a comic convention in town? Can I take a selfie with you? It's just so funny. And she tries to rescue just a random street rat, little kid girl, and calls it her sister because she's a female. That's the way she was brought up, against this guy that his name is Link, and she steals for him, and he kind of beats her when he doesn't do the job right, and she saves him. She saves her, and she realizes that she's obviously not from here. She takes her to her little hideout in the issue, and she lives in in the sewers, but she makes a makeshift house. And she tries to get her camouflage in with society a little bit. She gives her normal clothes, tries to make her feel like, a human self again, so she doesn't stand out. And I thought that part of the issue was really cool. So you got to see a little bit of Donna Troy being humanized, and her dialogue in there was really, really great. As people are calling her Xena Warrior Princess, and she's like, I don't know who this Xena is, but you're out of place here. And they made a couple of cool pop culture things where Angus is the main enemy in this actual book. where you get to learn a little bit before he became this godlike character, where he said he was playing Arkham Knight and whatnot. So it was a good issue, but I found myself more infatuated with the Donna Troy story than, again, the person that is battling Wonder Woman, which is Aegis, or however you say his name. And I just don't find myself caring about that villain. I think he's a very weak villain. And I was just more intrigued by the Donna Troy story in this one. So I give this one a 3 3/4 out of 5 stars. Great artwork, good Donna Troy story. Didn't care that much about the Wonder Woman aspect part of it. All right. Next, we go on to number 6. And this just missed the top 5 this week. And this goes to Star Wars issue number 9. That's right. This book continues the whole Luke Skywalker going after his lightsaber. It got taken away in the last issue. And you find out where that lightsaber actually winds up going. Yeah, it winds up going to the biggest and baddest Jabba Hutt that there is. And his name is called Krakus the Hutt. Kind of reminds you of a big kraken in a way, because you know how krakens are big octopuses. Kind of reminds me of that. So it was really great to see that artwork there, where Krakus the Hutt, it just overshadows Luke Skywalker. So you see his gargantuan size. I think that was really awesome to see that there. And then you get to see the continuation of Han Solo teaming up with his wife and Princess Leia, on trying to rationalize that, hey, I'm part of the Rebel Alliance. You know, I'm not this bad person. He's like, but we got to get out of here. And you wind up seeing the 3 of them escaping the Empire. And you know, this is just visually all around a wonderful book to read. I think Jason Aaron does a great job with it. You wind up finding out the secret of this Hutt. He's not just your bad guy who does business on the side, but he also is an antique collector, and he's a Jedi collector. So he collects all antiques, or all Jedi stuff, including Jedi themselves. And he wanted to capture Skywalker himself, and he was trying to get him to open up this holocron, which was pretty cool as well. So this is a really good issue, really good story. You get to see Chewbacca and C-3PO at the end go after Luke to try to save him. So that's their mission next. Great book, but it didn't crack the top 5 for me. This did get 4 out of 5 stars this week. So what was the top 5? Well, I'll tell you this week, guys. 4 out of the 5 books this week were independent books. I can tell you that much. So this was a light week for the big 2 in making it in the top 5 and really impressing me in a reading standpoint this week. I think it's really time for Marvel to move on now. I think people are over Secret Wars. DC, for me, I've dropped a decent amount of titles. You know, the ones I read, I do like. However, there's just some books out there right now that are just, at this point in time, are just better than these big 2. So number 5 this week goes to The Beauty, issue number 2. The Beauty is a great read. It's about these detectives that are doing this investigation on what is called the Beauty, and it's these people who look perfect, and it's STD, and you know, it's sexually transmitted disease, and when you get it, you look great. However, there's a problem. People are exploding. Yeah, that's right. So after you've had this disease for so long, you're going to explode and die. And we got witness of that in the very first issue when you saw one random person explode in a train station or subway station. And these 2 detectives, Foster and Vaughn, which is this female right here and the male right here, are been investigating this. And the more investigation that they do, they found out that the government is covering this up, and there's a ton of deaths that's been going on, I guess, in Tokyo and around other countries as well. And the government's been covering this up this whole time. So they're trying to out what's going on and trying to figure out what's going on as well. And we find out that the main character in here, Detective Foster, he wound up acquiring this disease as well, this STD, because he had intimate night with his wife, and then he winds up waking up the next day with the Beauty. And he left his wife, and you get to see that he's very angry, And it's a well done comic. It's a great story. I really enjoy it. Again, the artwork is absolutely gorgeous. You know, you see the people who look beautiful, they are perfect looking people. When you have the people that don't have beauty, they kind of look like this. You know, and then you got this lady with the big nose or whatever it is, and the glasses and the big teeth. So you can see she's not part of the beauty, but they're very aware of what the beauty is and what it does to people. So again, here is all the deaths that have happened after our detectives broke into a file and find out what was going on. Good book, great read, very original story. Almost reminds me of Superior Iron Man in a way, because I remember Superior Iron Man, it was like he gave people the app and it made everybody look beautiful, you know, so it's kind of weird and people would do whatever to look perfect. So in that way, it kind of reminded me of Superior Iron Man. But after reading this one, I give this one a 4.25 out of 5 stars, and I got number 5 this week. Number 4 goes to a new number 1. This one was talked about a lot this week. This was Tokyo Ghost issue number 1. Rick Remender writer. Sean Murphy is the artist. Sean Murphy, Punk Rock Jesus, The Wake, Chrononauts, and now Tokyo Ghost. So this book thrusts you into a world of 2089, and it's basically what the world is going to be like, I don't know, 70 years from now. Like, if we're all involved with our phones and computers and video games, what's the world going to be like that technology-driven 70 years from now? Well, that's what Tokyo Ghost shows. The world is just everyone's in this constant state of reality games, so competitions, video games attached to you. Just you're connected 24/7. You never stop, and that's what's going on. We have 2 constables in this book. They're called what is it? What's her name? Led Dent is the main character's name, and Debbie Decay. You think they like kind of sound like porn names or something like that, but serious, that's what their names are. And Debbie Decay is just, she's non-technological, technology driven. She's not connected in any way. Her boyfriend, who she is, you know, a constable with, is technology driven all the way, and she tries to balance him out. And you get to see them try to do this last job to take down this criminal, and then they feel that they can escape and go to a more peaceful like land to try to get back on balance here. The artwork is absolutely outstanding. The world that you throw you in is very creative. However, when you're reading this book for the first time, you're going to struggle, because that's what Rick Remender does. He throws you into this world, and you're going to feel a little bit lost. The narration, you're not sure who's talking at first. There's so much going on. You're going to be like, whoa, what's up? Who's going on? Who's the main character? Who's the bad guy? Who's the good guy? You know, are these going to be main characters? So you're going to find yourself a little bit lost here. This is a book that you feel like you might have to read twice in order to really get it. However, it's going to set up to be what I think is going to be a good story or character-driven type of book. I felt that in this issue, you got to see a lot of the world, and in next coming issues, you're going to see a lot about the characters. It was very interesting to see Debbie Decay really, you know, how she treats her boyfriend in here and how she gets him back to normal. Really interesting stuff in this book. So I'm definitely going to give issue number 2 a try. Hopefully it calms down a little bit, builds some good character development in there. And I got to give this one a 4.25 out of 5 stars. All right. Next goes to the one book that is the big 2, and that makes number 3 this week, and that's Batman Arkham Knight Genesis issue number 2. I thought this book was very well done. Artistically, it's just great. And Peter J. Tomasi is doing a great Jason Todd story. And you get to see the progression of him coming from Robin, leaving Batman, finding out that he's not wanted by Batman, or he feels that he's not wanted by Batman. And you get to see some cool battle here between Robin and Nightwing and Deathstroke. And you get to see Jason kind of watching in the wings and not doing anything about it. But again, it's just a good Jason Todd story. You get to see how he teams up with Batman and his relationship with Bruce and where he stood with Bruce. and I loved it. I really enjoyed it, and I love seeing all the action scenes in here, and just seeing Jason Todd being kind of like that dickhead in this book was awesome. And every time you hear the dialogue from Slade in the book, he says "kid," and it just reminds you of the Slade Wilson from Arrow. From the TV show, and I thought that was really cool. But we can see that again. Jason Todd always felt more like, instead of a son to Batman, he felt like a lackey or a lapdog, and he could not stand that. And at the end of the last issue, at the end of this issue, you wind up seeing him trying to save Batman from the Joker to really, I feel like, get that respect. And you don't know what happened to Jason at the end of that issue. So, but you do find out that Deathstroke was hired by Jason to do battle against Robin and Nightwing in the book, and I thought that was really cool. So even though I don't play the game and I don't know everything that's going on tied to the game to this comic book, I find myself really enjoying the read, and so I give this second issue a 4.25 out of 5 stars. Really love the book. Overall, solid read. All right, so number 2 this week goes to another independent comic book, and it goes to Invincible, issue number 123. That's right, guys. This book, for me, was awesome. I really enjoyed it, but it did not get that top number 1 spot. Once again, we get to see Mark, who's getting ready to go warbound to try to find Vulturemite General Thrag, and to stop his cloning process of new Vulturemites to appear. And then we get to see, before he goes to war, Eve is a little bit upset of what's going on, and she wants kind of like a day out because she's been stuck at home with the baby in this new planet. And Mark gets to have a daddy daycare day with daddy-daughter day with his daughter, and Eve gets to go out shopping. And you really get that feel, that of him being this, new dad, and her going out on the town. And I love the paneling here, how they tell a whole day's story in one page between both characters. You get to see an intimate night with the two of them, which was nice to see, instead of Mark always being so stressed out. And then you get to see, them just about to go find General Thrag. And by the time you wind up getting to the end of this issue, he's nowhere to be found. However, Mark does some exploring in the actual planet, and he comes across this cavern, or this tube or whatnot, and as he's warned to go down, it's too late. He's gone too far down. He gets pulled in, and he gets sucked in by this bright light, and the next thing you wind up finding out is he's on the shitter, and it's back to original days from the beginning for Mark. And you're like, oh shit. And now this is the reboot that Robert Kirkman was talking about. And in my opinion, I feel that when it comes to Invincible, the reboot is not really a reboot. It's just a story arc that's taking him back, to his early days, and he might have to change things, or certain things are going to change. But it's not technically a reboot. It's kind of like Kirkman's way of making fun of the DC and Marvel universes of always doing reboots. So, and Kirkman has done this before. He's done banners up top before, making fun of how, the big two has done things. So this, in my opinion, is Robert Kirkman's way of kind of poking fun at that. And I'm looking forward to this story arc to see what happens, and how does Mark get out of this, and how does he solve certain situations. Is it going to affect his future? Are things going to be different now? So that will be interesting to see. Really good book, but there's one book that did beat this one. This one got a 4.75 out of 5 stars. All right, so the last book we're going to be talking about is, and that number 1 book goes to Manifest Destiny, issue number 17. This book is awesome, man. Lewis and Clark era, the days of exploration. These guys have been coming across some weird and crazy shit. Every time they see these arches, it always means danger. Something is not going to be right. But it's part of their mission to go to uncharted territories that they have never gone before. Kind of like Star Trek, but in in the 17 or 1800s or whenever it takes place. And here you get to see a severed head. Hold on, there's this. This is good. The one good thing that this series has finally done is it's starting to tap into some of its characters and starting to get some character development, where I feel that this story in the past has not really tapped on. But this issue, it's done. And we get to see this character Collins as a young baby, how he was dropped off at the doorstep of a church. And they can never pronounce his name right. And in the beginning of the book, you wind up seeing, a flashback of him, how he was upbrought and how he wind up being part of the crew with Lewis and Clark. And now he was sent to go on this exploration to go inside the big Ark in this book. And the reason why they're in this Ark and they're going to what's it called? They're teaming up with this little bird-like creature. It's because they're trying to rescue one of their crew members, and he's inside this Ark. So they're climbing to the very top of this Ark, and you wind up getting to that part a little bit later, and they're coming to a discussion about, okay, if he's not back in Dawn, we're gonna we're gonna get axes, and we're gonna chop down this place, and we're gonna find our man. The other book is talking about how you say it, Saskatchewan, and you wind up seeing that she's pregnant and she has this fever and she's very sick. And you wind up seeing a backstory of her, of when she was a little girl, and you wind up seeing who was training her and training her how to fight and how to be a stronger warrior. And so while she's fighting this fever and fighting the will to live, you got to see her childhood and how she was upbrought. So I thought that was really well done as well, and really fleshed out the character a lot more. So I really enjoyed that. So now as you got to see them climbing to the top of this arch, you got to see a little bit more of the backstory here of Collins, who is teaming up with the bird-like creature. And they finally get to the peak, and then you get to the climax of the story, and you wind up finding out that this creature has been taking the heads of this bird-like creature for generations. And again, Collins is teaming up to try to stop this creature. And this is what they come across. This thing right here. This thing is just like a bat creature that severs people's heads and puts it on its body to live. That's the only way it can live. And so it needs new heads to constantly continue to live. And you can find out that it took one of the crew members that they were trying to find's head. And all of a sudden you start hearing shots fired. You're seeing a gun fall on the ground. And the creature, they exploit the creature. They get the creature out. It's flying out the arch. You can see it's this big bat creature. They start shooting the shit out of this thing. And he starts ripping the head off of the spine. And then they wind up falling to the ground. Like, look at the artwork in this. The detail is it's just awesome. Just totally awesome. And then what happens is when you think that the creature has been stopped, you get to see one of these crew members going up to it, and he turns his head, he turns in front of it, and the guy's name was Jamison, and it kind of sneaks up behind him, and you can see that it still lives with no head, and it goes to detach another head, and just rips the head off of it, and the freaking body's carcass just flies to the ground, and he's going to put it on top of his, it is insane. I was like, holy cow, this is nuts. This is who thinks of this stuff, man? This is insane. It was such a good book overall around. It just had you on all these little twists and turns, and you got to see character development with great artwork, and you were never bored, and the story just never got old. It just got you on the edge of your seat, no matter who you were reading about. And the climax was awesome. This was one of the best issues of Manifest Destiny that I have read so far. Every time you think that there's an issue that can't get better, or they can't top the creature before it, or whatever the case may be, there's always another creature out there that beats it. I thought these bird-like creatures were like the creature this time around, and I was kind of like, who the fuck look at these bird creatures. Then you got this big bat thing that puts a head on its spine. Like, what is that? That's nuts. I was blown away by it. I couldn't believe it. So that book obviously got 5 out of 5 stars. That was my favorite, most memorable book of the week. I loved it. And there you have it, guys. There's the 13 books that I talked about this week. You've seen the worst, you've seen the best, you've seen all that other stuff in between. Guys, now it's your turn in the comments below. Tell me what your favorite books of this week were, what your least favorite books of the week were. And fans, as always, thank you for watching Comic Book Corner 2.0. And until that next comic book review, guys, this is Mike Spider Slayer signing off. And I'll see you guys real soon. Take care, fans.